listeners. Welcome back to the Review Views podcast. On today's episode, we're diving right on in because nothing interesting is going on right now. We're diving right on in. It's been 20 years since Hurricane Katrina made landfall in America, specifically Louisiana. I was 4 years old when this happened. Hurricane Katrina happened in August, of 2025, hence the 20 years if you didn't know how to count. And it is considered, unfortunately, one of the most deadliest hurricanes in U.S. history. A good amount of like 1,800 people lost their lives that day, and so many more are still missing. They don't know if their loved ones are dead, if they were never found, or where their remains are. It is honestly a tragedy in itself. And I bring this up because Netflix recently dropped a new documentary on Hurricane Katrina called Hurricane Katrina Come Hell or High Water. And I have yet to divulge into the show, but I did watch the trailer prior to it coming out. And let's just say I have a lot to say about Hurricane Katrina as somebody who was born and raised in a state prone to hurricanes and who's black and grew up in a predominantly black community, neighborhood setting, etc. Hurricane Katrina made landfall in Louisiana on August 29th as a Category 3 hurricane. You'd think, oh, that's not bad. Yes and no, but think about how much damage was caused because of like government failure, response, just like everything. It's not even on the state. It was just actually the government, like FEMA and just all those things. Obviously, the levee system broke, it failed, and that's why it was such a catastrophe. And they knew the levee system wasn't going to hold up. They knew it was hurricane season. It was August. Mind you, hurricane season, and hurricane season starts in June. It's common knowledge. I know hurricane season starts in June. Hurricane season starts when summer starts. And it goes until, I think, like late November, they say. Yeah, June 1st to November 30th is the Atlantic hurricane season officially. Apparently the Pacific has one, but the Pacific really, yeah. No offense. I think in California it's mostly, what the things they got over there? Earthquakes and like maybe tsunamis. I don't know what else. And fires because it's drier than a white girl's hair. But yeah. Hurricane Katrina was quite devastating, if not powerful, hurricane that unfortunately changed the world forever. Damages are estimated to be like $125 billion. Like, could you imagine? And still so much in like Louisiana, the city of New Orleans has like not been like changed, helped, or anything. Like, there's like a huge hospital down there, I think, and it's like abandoned, and it's just always been abandoned. Katrina formed on August 23rd, right? And it made landfall as a Category 3, but it did intensify to a Category 5, and it hit a lot of places. Obviously, Louisiana taking like a lot of the damages due to the levees and the parish. Louisiana, a little history fact, not Louisiana, but New Orleans sits below sea level anyways. I like how Alexa is talking while I'm talking. Alrighty, she stopped. New Orleans is below sea level anyways, so it's very easily able to flood, right? In New Orleans, large areas are called parishes. They don't really have counties. They have parishes. Not they don't really have counties. They don't have counties. They have parishes, right? Um, a lot of evacuations of people went about, and it wasn't the best. Many people went to the dome. They were trying to find their loved one, couldn't find their loved ones. Just so much happened in these waking hours because they didn't think it was going to be that drastic of a hurricane. it's just something that I don't know how to describe it. I feel like I've been through hurricanes. I don't really remember hurricanes. I've never been through a hurricane of this intensity. It Hurricane Katrina hit a lot of places, but it hit the Bahamas. It hit a lot of the majority of the states that get hit by hurricanes. It hit Florida, Louisiana. Somehow Mississippi got caught up in it. I don't know where Mississippi is on the map. I don't know how it swung up to Mississippi and like how it got there, but yeah, it was not the best. It was not the best for American history, especially down in New Orleans. It totally shaped the what's the word I'm looking for? Like the place? I don't know. New Orleans by far had the most deaths. It ranges from like 900 up to the like 1500s. Like it's a lot. There are so many people missing. If you were to look it up, the number's probably wildly inaccurate. Like I got glimpses from the trailer. Um, it's crazy how many people are missing because it's like what? And they're obviously it's been 20 years since Katrina. They're presumed dead at this rate because like why not? Um, I read something that said even in 2010, like there's still debris in like some of the coastal communities from Hurricane Katrina. Before it ever even struck, the United States, it hit Bahamas and then it went to South Florida. And it was a tropical storm when it hit Bahamas and it had very minimal impact. The islands are really used to it. Florida was hit, not my part of Florida, like the west side of Florida. Usually, the part of Florida doesn't get like the direct impact. It's just heavy rains. It rains all the time in Florida, but the Panhandle took most of the damage or whatever. But if you ever look up like Louisiana and like the damages that Hurricane Katrina did, you barely see the roofs, roofs. I think it's roofs of people's homes. It's like what? Like it's just such a tragedy, honestly. Um, it's crazy. And I think New Orleans does not ever get a break because, like I keep saying, it's below sea level. Hmm Um, the ignorant side of me will be like, well, why do people choose to live there? Why do people stay there? And I think it's a dumb, ignorant question because I mean, sometimes you can't afford to move. When some place is your home, sometimes you don't want to leave. You don't want to be forced out of your home to never see it again, to never be a part of it. That's something hard to do. And hurricanes are known to hit this place, but that was something that really rocked the world. Because of the levees and how they broke, it caused the death toll to go up. I think there's always the possibility of deaths when hurricanes happen, but because of the levees, it went up. Roughly over like 700 bodies were recovered in New Orleans by a month after Katrina, and that's so sad. It's Charity Hospital. That was the one that I was thinking of. Um, Let me tell you a little something about Charity Hospital. It was in New Orleans. Um, 3 weeks after Hurricane Katrina, the governor at the time said that it was not going to reopen as a functional hospital, and that hospital still sits there today, abandoning nothing. And it's a pretty big hospital. I saw like one of those creepy videos on TikToks where like they explain everything of all these like abandoned places, and it's quite wild. There's a lot of history with this hospital, and after that hurricane, it was like we're just gonna close it. Um, and I think that's so sad because it's like kind of like diminishing the history. Like they didn't want it to continue because of what it was just really just honestly sad. And it's this big building that could probably help the community if you really think about it. It could be turned into anything, right? Say you don't reopen it as a hospital. Okay, that's fine, but it could be tore down or revamped to something. The government loves revamping old buildings without actually having to tear them down, you know. Um, it would definitely help. I think because it's something that's there. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people who like campaign and fight to get the hospital reopened or whatever, but who knows if and when it will ever be open. I think it's just really unfortunate because it's a huge place. Like, if you were to look at Charity Hospital, it's a huge hospital, takes up a lot of land. It could definitely do some good, whether it's reopened as a hospital or like an educational institute, just something like that. It would definitely help. Um, I heard like the prisoners that were like in New Orleans around this time, or anywhere in that area of Louisiana, like that was bad. Also, some people abandoned their cells and all that thing. Like it was like the guards, like whatever prison staff, like left to go get shelter, and they were just there. And I think that's so sad. And some people left; they are unaccounted for. And it's like, you know what? They didn't care about you. They didn't care about you. I understand you committed some type of crime, and that's why you're there. But they did not care enough about you as an American citizen, as somebody on American soil, to want to provide shelter and help at all. And I think that's really unfortunate because, I mean, at what point do we stop looking at people as humans? Now, unless they committed some heinous crime, which even then, it's so hard to really, you know, say I'm in that matter, because I'm so sorry, I have to sneeze. Bless me. I think it's so hard to say that because, like, you're not supposed to be the judge, the jury, the executioner. You know, that's not how America's founded. As corrupt or in need of help as our justice system might be, I don't think it should ever come to the point where it's like, abandon all, abandon all. You just leave prisoners literally locked up like rats in a science lab in a cage, not knowing what could happen, because as this hurricane is like, oh, it's worse than what we anticipated, and everybody just abandoned mission. Like, that's basically what they did, and I think that's like so messed up. I think it's like just just messed up. There's a lot of buildings you can still see that were damaged by Katrina, whether it's in Louisiana or Alabama. Alabama got hit. Alabama and the Florida Panhandle, they cousins. They cousins, man. They got hit, and it wasn't like devastation. Like I said, like devastation was mostly towards Louisiana. I was about to say Katrina, Louisiana. It was a lot. Like, I was only 4, so obviously, I am not a part of like what happened and how this goes, but it's quite a devastating loss. Katrina is up there with Hurricane Harvey. Hurricane Harvey was in 2017, and that impacted Texas. Um, but it's up there. These hurricanes, if you haven't noticed, like, this is just like my outlook. They're getting progressively worse, right? You have Katrina, deadly, 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 right? That was 2005. Harvey was 2017. You have Hurricane Maria, that was also 2017, and along with Irma. 2017 was just a year for people. I'm pretty sure Hurricane Maria, I want to say, hit Florida, but it didn't, or it was like passing, but it wasn't, because I remember not going to school because it was like a hurricane, and I remember the power went out, and my stepdad has a backup generator. But I don't remember if I could find out like where it hit. I don't think it didn't actually hit Florida. It definitely hit Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico was definitely damaged by it, which is so crazy because Puerto Rico is American territory, but like they really don't have American rights. I don't know. It's so stupid. I don't know. That whole thing just irritates me in itself because it makes no sense. And I hate when things don't make sense. Anyways, you have Hurricane Helene, which was back in 2024, Ida in 2021, Sandy, which was in 2012. I think that one hit like Jersey or something. And then you have Milton, that was also 2024. And then you have Hurricane Ike, which is 2008. Never heard about Hurricane Ike. Not going to dive down that rabbit hole, but those are the top 10 most expensive, costliest, whatever you want to say, hurricanes from the Atlantic hurricane season. So the East Coast, duh. If you don't know your oceans, Atlantic is on the east side, the Pacific's on the west side. But yeah, that was a lot. The environment was affected. I feel like Louisiana, New Orleans, just the whole state never gets a good a break. Like there's like so much is always going on, and it's like there's a lot of black people that live there, and sometimes people do turn a blind eye to black people or those of lesser fortune, and it's like, well, why do we do that? I think that's so messed up because I just believe that sometimes even the disgustingest person deserves to be shown some type of compassion, because if we didn't have compassionate people, I mean, what would this planet look like? What would society look like if there weren't people out there who literally had a heart and can't help that they have a heart? I definitely think I'm one of those people who have a heart, but I know how to be like, oh, I don't give a hoot and nanny about you. Things like that. And I don't know, that stuff like that just really like, yeah. The Coast Guard, that's the only time they're really recognized. not not squatting on the Coast Guard, just saying like, you think the Marine Corps is the smallest branch? The Marines is the smallest branch. The Coast Guard's got quite a bit of people. Like when anything like actually happens, like stateside, it's the Coast Guard. You know what I mean? Like they're gonna send the Coast Guard and National Guard. They handle America, and all the other branches handle like America and like overseas. That's how I see it. Like the Coast Guard and the National Guard should definitely not be shatted on as not being a part of the armed forces, because they are. They're just they do a lot for America. Okay, not saying the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, and the Marine Corps don't do a lot for America. Most of their operations are overseas. Now I know you got one of them branches camped down in DC right now. I don't pay attention, but they do a lot. I'm pretty sure it's like probably the National Guard or something, maybe the Army. I don't know, but they do a lot for America itself. If you actually wanted to look at how helpful each branch is. Yeah. A lot of criticism came to the government, obviously, because of Hurricane Katrina. A lot of black people, a lot of people of lesser fortune reside in New Orleans, and it was as if the people of New Orleans were not getting help. Some people were stuck in their house. There was one story I heard in the trailer for the Netflix documentary where a guy picked up one of his grandchildren. I think it was his granddaughter. He picked up one, put her on the roof. He looked back to get the other one, and she was like swept under the water. And it was just like, that's so freaking sad. I do not know how I'm going to be able to watch this documentary and get through this documentary without just thinking like, you know, that's so hard. There was a hurricane relief concert, and that's where Kanye West, famously said George Bush doesn't care about black people. Hilarious, because Kanye West is the most unserious, serious person ever. I still love Kanye. I don't know who Ye is, but Kanye West always will have a place on my playlist. But it was a lot in 2025 when it comes to hurricane seasons. And as like I said, as somebody who grew up in South Florida, when devastating hurricanes happen to any of the states that are prone to hurricanes, such as Florida, Alabama, Louisiana, Texas, it's a big thing. It's a lot of controversy. The news doesn't cover 24/7. Like they might be covering right then and then, but there are still things that they are missing. There are still things that they don't know. When Hurricane Harvey happened, you got to think Harvey was back in 2017. There are still people trying to pick up their lives, right? Imagine Hurricane Katrina, 20 years, and people are still trying to pick up their lives from something that was over 20 years ago. It's very unfortunate, and sometimes there's little to no government response when stuff like that happen, and it's very very unfortunate. I think when people talk about hurricanes, it's so cute and fun to make jokes like people did about COVID. But then sometimes you have to be serious, and it's like, okay, like, hey, how is your family? Like, make a joke and whatnot, but like, Hurricanes are a big deal, whether they're big or small. Coming out of a hurricane unscathed, with your home intact, with just, God and blessings and all that stuff is a really, really big thing. And, there's some type of natural disaster in every part of the world. But we're talking about America. There's some type of natural disaster in the part of America. And growing up, hurricanes was like fairly common to be out of school because there was a hurricane. That's what I got. Living up here up north, it was like it's snowing and we don't have school because there was a blizzard. Very rarely do they get hurricanes up here. Um, on the West Coast, you get hurricanes, very minimal. That's a whole science history. If you want to learn more about that, you do the research. I know why. um, but they get like earthquakes. They have the fires. The fires were like last year they were burning out half of LA, all them celebrities and stuff like that. And even then, so many people were like heartless, I guess, because they're celebrities. They could literally like pick it up and like go to this house. And like one that stood out to me was Janae Aiko, because it was like I don't think y'all understand, like, however much money this lady has, her home cannot be rebuilt to what it was before. The memories that she had there with her kids, who knew or knows how long she lived there, you cannot recreate those memories. Like, you can't, and I think that's what people fail to remember. And just like with the people of Hurricane Katrina, their homes were literally washed away. People were literally washed away. And whether they're remembered or not, those people have to live with it. They know that they can never cherish or hold this person again. They might have something or had something of that person that they'll never be able to have again because their entire house flooded. It was damaged. It's lost forever, known to no man. Things like that. And I think when natural disasters happen, when pandemics happen, which aren't often, I think there was like an uproar about the flu. I don't know, but like when COVID happened, hurricanes happen, fires happen. I think people are just so like, well, and sometimes it's not. You can't just always take the easy side. You have to think about other people. And I say this because, like, for me, I've never been through a bad hurricane, but let's take COVID for instance. When COVID happened, it was like all these elderly people were getting sick and dying, and people make a joke about COVID. We had restrictions. We weren't allowed to go to certain places. We weren't allowed to leave. Just our rooms, our homes, things like that. And people would go out and get sick and everything like that. And I think I lost a couple of like family friends to COVID and whatnot. It didn't really hit until I lost my uncle. I lost my uncle to COVID. And sometimes I'm not like a party pooper, but sometimes when people joke about COVID, it's like, oh, I would give anything to have my uncle back. If my uncle was still here, my grandmother would probably have a couple more years. I know my mom and all her sisters, just my whole entire family would be so happy if he was still here because he honestly was a good person. So when I hear people be like, COVID's fake, COVID's not real, COVID's this, and that, and it's like, COVID's 100% real. I lost my uncle to COVID. My uncle was a very young man. He was, everything to everybody in his family. It's like things like that. You can't really speak on these disasters, these things that happen if it doesn't happen to you, because once it happens to you, and I pray it never happens to you, you don't know that pain, that hole in your heart that will never be filled. There are literally hundreds, if not thousands, of people who died in Hurricane Katrina, and they were not able to have a proper burial because they do not know where their remains are. I'm so thankful that we were able to give my uncle a proper burial. It sucked what he died from, but we were able to say our goodbyes and come to terms with it as best as we can. These people are still grieving 20 years later. And if there's one thing the American government is definitely going to do, it's not going to own up to their mistakes, especially now with everything going on. It's definitely not going to own up to its mistakes. And there's just so much going on in the world. Do you really think they care to go back 20 years? They didn't even care when it was 20 years ago. It's things like that. But not to sound patriotic, but we, the people, we have to like make a stand and stand up for people. I hope that slowly, because it's already happening slowly, but I hope one day, these people who have lost somebody are able to somewhat accept them. I know there are people who have passed away and still never know what happened to their loved one. I pray that they reconciled in heaven or wherever they may find themselves, whatever their religion is. I pray that they do find themselves, because you never know the tragedy until you are faced with it. And it's so easy to make jokes. It's so easy to make jokes. It's so much harder to say, hey, how are you doing? Are you okay? It's so much harder. And I myself am learning to be more emotionally aware and how I say things, because things can be mean, things can come off harsh, things can come off as if you don't care. You could give like two, I'm learning myself a better way to do that, because I am a caring person and I want people to know I am a caring person. Sometimes it's your tone, it's your personality, it's how you say it, how your body language is, all those different aspects. I am a black girl, woman. I have been a victim to black girl attitude just because I haven't had a smile on my face. Like, I'm supposed to smile 24/7. Sometimes these cheeks get heavy, and I ain't talking about the ones in the back. Like, sometimes it's hard. Sometimes not everybody smiles. I am human. I do not always have to smile, but it's like, you're a black woman and you're not smiling. You must be angry. What's wrong with you today? And it's like, oh, whoa, 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 whoa. Hold up now. You got too much dip on your chip. Like, you doing too much. You absolutely doing too much. I think um, something something should definitely happen when it comes to Hurricane Katrina and all that happened in New Orleans. It's not even just about Louisiana. I think Louisiana gets highlighted because it had the most damage, but to all the people who were affected by Katrina and just hurricanes in general. Like I said, there's probably still people out there picking up from Harvey. There was this show I used to watch with my mom called Outdaughtered on TLC, and like they have, look it up. And her mom, the show premiered before Hurricane Harvey, and her mom lost her house from a flood, and then they were able to get rid of all the water damage and like all that good stuff, and then like she lost her home again because of Hurricane Harvey. I think not even a year later, and she had to leave her home, and that was really hard for her because she raised her kids there. She lived a large part of her life there, and I think that's the picture that people fail to see. It's like, well, it's just a home, it can be replaced, and it's like, what about the memories? About the memories. I love going home and sometimes just sitting on my bed and being like, remember when? Like, I think that's like me and my cousin's favorite things to do during Thanksgiving. You remember when? You remember when? Especially when my grandmother passed away. I love the you remember when stories. And it's like, no, like, tell me about your experience with this person. Like, I would love to hear about it. Like, all the stories I heard about my grandmother, just made my heart swell with love because she was a loved woman. Same thing for my uncle. He was a loved man. Um, but you have to learn to move on. However, if you're not given the tools or the help or the guidance or even the acknowledgement to like move on and better yourself, how can you ever get through that? I will say it is a growth for me because I was talking about my uncle and I didn't get like sad. Usually I can't talk about my uncle without like straight out, flat out crying because as long as it's been, I have accepted his death. I have accepted his passing. But I take him everywhere with me. There's literally a picture of him in my car. I have a picture of him in my home. Like, I take my uncle everywhere with me. I even have like a drawing that I wanted to get tattooed on me. Ask me why I haven't got a tattoo. I think I'm just scared. But even though I have tattoos, but I take my uncle everywhere with me. Same thing with my grandmother. Um, Literally, there's like this angel keychain that was given out at her homecoming, and I have it on my keychain. And it's like, yep, I got my joy with me. I'm having a joyful day. My grandmother's first name was Joy. If you're not a part of my family, well, listening to this, um, I definitely think um, hurricanes should not be taken lightly. Devastation should not be taken lightly. As adamant as Americans are about the things that happen in third world countries, we should be adamant about the things that happen here. We shouldn't be so quick to give up on them because here we are, Hurricane Katrina 20 years later. Like, what prompted this documentary to come out? Well, before this documentary even came out, I've been hearing a lot about Katrina and how there's still people missing, and like the government still hasn't fixed certain things. I just told you about Charity Hospital. It's been abandoned for over 20 years, but the building still stands. Like, it's things like that. It's like we're not doing anything to better the future. We're not. We're not at all. Like, you should do things to better the future. And there's only so much you could do at the state level without getting into how the government works at states and, presidential level and all that other different aspects, and just climbing the ladder from city, county, state, all that region, whatever. There's just only so much. And there's only so much we could do as humans. But we gotta do something. You gotta do something, y'all. You gotta do something. Okay? It's not the best. And then after Hurricane Katrina, Hurricane Rita actually hit Louisiana, just a little over a month. Like I said, Harvey hit Texas, and that was up there with one of the deadliest hurricanes. Not deadliest, but costliest hurricanes. When it came to how much needed to be restored. So much. Beyonce went out there. I remember that because Beyonce from Texas. She right behind Texas. She right behind Texas. Hurricane Ida hit Katrina on its 16th anniversary. I did not know that. That's actually drama. But I urge you guys to watch the new documentary on a Hurricane Katrina, because I definitely think it's definitely eye-opening. Beyond how many people were lost, died, and the impact and how much it cost, Katrina definitely reshaped the structure and the culture of New Orleans. And unfortunately, a lot of people never returned home. And the demographics within that city, within that area, that environment definitely shifted. I wouldn't say FEMA does a better job. I don't keep track of FEMA. I'm not going to drag FEMA, but FEMA did have a slow response. When it came to this, a lot of government agencies, whatever, were criticized when it came to Hurricane Katrina. FEMA was just the number one because that's, like, I guess, FEMA's sole purpose, if you want. It's definitely a lot, but I definitely think you guys should watch Katrina, Come Hell or High Water on Netflix. It just dropped. It's 3 episodes. They're an hour long and some change. I definitely think you should watch it. I definitely think it's gonna make me a little bit sad. I hate seeing less fortunate people down bad because it just sucks. But we're all less fortunate people. But you know what we're very fortunate in? Having this podcast and having me, and in blessings. And in blessings, of course, in blessings. But before I sign off, I just want to say, I hope you guys have a really fun Labor Day. I hope you guys have plans. Maybe I'll be back Wednesday. Maybe I won't. We'll see how this weekend goes, and like if I need like a recovery period. If so, I'm not dropping an episode. If not, I'll drop an episode. But we'll see. I'll try to drop one no matter what. But like the last time I drank, it was I needed to recover. Like, it was a 4 days drinking thing, and I was like, water. Like, it was horrible. But yeah, I'm so happy. My friends are coming in town. The whole gang is getting back together, and I love it. I've already told them, like, you guys have to, like, record yourselves so we could, like, record. And we're going to do it baddie style. Like, baddies, shot. We got to find our own little anthem because we can't do baddies, shot o'clock or whatever. Plus, we're better than baddies. Like, how baddies is now is definitely, like, not it. Like, I think one of my friends was watching it, and it was, like, this old lady on there. And she was like, yeah, she's, like, 40. And I was like, 40 what? Like, They gotta go. So, it's a lot. It's a lot, guys. I'm so excited. I can't wait to just see everybody. No hugs. They were like, oh, I can't wait to hug you. And it's like, ugh, I don't want to do hugs. I don't like hugs. I don't do hugs. I'm not a hug person. I'm an affectionate person, like, in romantic relationships. But, like, my friendships, like, man, F you. I do not want to hug. Like, boy, back up off me. But definitely check out Katrina on Netflix. Guys, oh, so many good fall shows are coming. I can't wait because don't get me wrong. I love my Reno and I love my SpongeBob and I love my American Dad. And I've started watching Total Drama Island again for like the 1 millionth time, but I need something new. I even rewatched the entire Netflix series Dead to Me, and I need something new. Okay, guys, I need something new. But you guys, fall is coming. It's getting a little colder. It was like 55 degrees, I think Alexa has said this morning. I was like, say what? And the high was like 70 something. I was like, say what? Like, I had the windows down when I was driving home, and it's like, I like this breeze. The windows have been down lately because it's like, oh, it's 70 something. Like, this is what I keep my car at. So I like this. 69 gets too cold sometimes. I'd be like, oh, this is too cold. It has to be like blazing hot outside for me to put my car in the 60s. But, anyways, love you guys. You're truly, it's still coming. I haven't forgotten about it. It hasn't forgotten about you. I have so much editing to do. It's not even funny. And sometimes when I come home, it's like, do I do homework? Do I do the vlog? I do my homework. And then, like, the first half of the day, I'm recording stuff for the vlog. But you guys, the trailer is coming soon. It's coming very, very soon. I have a whole new game plan mapped out for yours truly. I can't wait to put it out there and just to like take you guys along on the journey with me. I usually do like my vlogs or like my long Snapchats, but I just want to take it to a wider audience, I guess. I guess the curtain behind my life, because a lot of my snaps are private. I don't share them with everybody and anyone. So, you know, my Instagram is private. A lot of random people, a lot of people in the past been trying to follow me. And it's like, don't know how you found me. My government name, nothing about me is on this. So how you find me? All it says is the host of this podcast. But how do you know? How do you know? If you don't listen to the podcast, how would you know? But anywho's, as always, thank you guys for listening. Make sure you like and subscribe. Say hi. I'll say hi back below. But until then, I may or may not see you next week, but I will see you in September. Happy listening, y'all.